All right, guys, so we are doing the S85 today. We're taking it apart, seeing what in the hell's going wrong. We have her up on the engine stand, and we're gonna start by taking the manifolds off, exhaust manifolds. We're gonna have to remove the throttle bodies, the cylinder heads, and the very end we'll flip it upside down. We'll remove the oil pan, the engine cradle, or the rod bearing crankcase cradle, and we're gonna have to pull everything apart. Our goal here today is to get everything apart enough. We can take the crankshaft and the rods and pistons to the machine shop so they can measure the rods and see if any of them is messed up. I think at this point, just to recap, we took 6 of the rods apart, the rod bearings apart, 4 of them were spun. We didn't go any further. We also need to check into our Vanos pump and oil pump. 3 bolts up here, my bad. Let's just take okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna grab a magic marker and we're gonna mark all this stuff. So I'm gonna put it back together. There's no big deal. So this is the passenger side. We'll put R for right on it. We'll do the same with the other side, L for left. We could take the engine mount off, but like it wasn't really necessary at this point. We got 2 more bolts there. Those are gonna be 13s, a little bracket. 13's right here. And the whole engine's been this way, taking it out of the car. Like nothing's complex, nothing's difficult on it. It's a pretty easy engine to do anything on. And these engines do not have any coolant line issues as far as deterioration. I'm sure they do at some mileage, but. Okay, there's that. Gingerly lay that off to the side. We're just gonna put these back in here. That's usually the best way to do it. So on E90, on M52, M54, N54, like all the studs come out. You always gotta take so much time to take T-wrenches and get the nuts off the studs, put them all back in the right depth. Because if not, they'll strip off and cause a huge problem. Okay. So here we are. Manifolds off. The next problem, we're going to do the hardest things first and work our way down. We're going to pull all those coil packs out and look at all the plugs. Okay. Let me give you a quick lesson on, put that over there, on S85 ignition coil packs. There's a wrong way and a right way. If you do it the wrong way, that happens. They get broke, the little latches missing off of it. It's a big ass mess. This is the wrong way. I might have to use the wrong way to get the broken one out. I'm not sure yet. All right, so let's go ahead and break these loose. It's already loose. Okay, that's cool. It's already loose. Seems about right. Okay, well, I guess we don't need the breaker bar. And we're going to go right to our impact. I'm curious, at this point in time, I'm curious to see what we're going to find because the old loose spark plugs, it's never a good deal. Think they're even the right ones? Probably not. Yeah, I mean, those will work. 2-prong NGK, as you can see here. Boy, I don't know if you can see that or not. I got too much crap in my hands, hold on. If you can see here, the wear, that's not, I mean, they're not too bad. They got a lot of wear in the electrode in the middle. Let's face it, boys, I've seen worse. Let's go on down the line here. Are we gonna use those again? No, we're not. We cannot do that. Well, we could, but why, right? Why would we go this far and cheap out? This one's about the same. I mean, they got probably, just by looking at those, I'd say 20, 30,000, maybe 40,000 miles on them. Let's say 40,000. So far, so good. We're pretty much just looking here to make sure nothing else is wrong. All 5 on that side are burning correctly. It's got some wear. Okay. Oop. A little more carbon on it. At least they're all the same. At least they're all the same spark plug and not all mix match. So what'll happen with these M5s, these S85s, it'll run people out of money. This carbon buildup on it, nothing abnormal. And then they'll put the cheapest parts known to man just to get rid of the car. And I'm actually in talks with another one of these cars as we speak. And that's the situation with that. But that dude, whoop, is slow to right back. This has got a little bit of, this phone won't focus. Philip's not here today, so we're doing it on the phone. A bit of impurities on it, a little bit of white speckle crap on it. And you can see here, that's how we look. You know, a little bit of wear, not bad. I can never touch this phone again because if I don't, it'll stay focused up close and it'll ruin the whole video. Don't ask me how I know, but I know. That's garbage in the gasoline doing that. That's what that is. Yeah. It could be water, impurities. We know we have a gas issue. You can see there. That's for sure. So what we're gonna do, the injectors on this engine, we're gonna send out. Hopefully we can find somebody to send them out to and clean them. If not, we're gonna replace them. And we're gonna drain that tank thoroughly before we even think about starting this engine. It's kind of the same. All in this bank, so that's kind of tell me it probably is a fuel issue. And there's all the plugs. All right, so this kind of took everything loose in the wiring harness, unplugged everything. There's a few bolts up front. We're just gonna shimmy this whole piece out of the way. Well, hopefully. There's definitely a lot going on here. It's just a lot of ignition coils and a lot of fuel injectors. Now there was a couple of fuel injectors that the plugs were not pushed in all the way. Is that a misfire situation? Yeah, probably. Oh. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right. So next up is going to be remove the Vanos line, the top Vanos line. And once that's done, take the ionic sensors off. We'll mark them left and right, even though it probably doesn't make any damn difference. Just to be on the safe side. Our plugs out. I think our fuel rail on this side is loosening. Take the bolts out on the other side to loosen it up. Fuel injectors look kind of corroded. those fuel injectors, the more I look at them, they were like loose and weird, and it's like, you know, that might be something to spend $350 on some new Bosch injectors for this thing, because those do stick open. It does blow your engine up. So, and then, so I think the next thing, we're gonna get rid of these fuel rails, dump that out in a bucket. So we take that out of here and be done with the gas. And then let's go and take apart the throttle actuators. Let's see if anybody's rebuilt those yet. All right, let's go ahead and just work these out of here. There's 2 bolts on each side in the rail itself. We're just going to gingerly. We could almost just pull them out, but I'm trying to be as nice as I can on them, really. There we go. There's the whole rack. And then where is our hose? Here you are. Let's see here what we got. Just kind of tucked in there a little bit. Okay. All right. I think I got you set up where you can actually see in there. So this is a very common failure point in these cars. Okay. Open up, baby. Looks original. It's like good. Somebody's done something. Somebody just ordered some flat out new ones at some point. There's no wear on the gears. Has a little bit of grease. We'll probably re-grease that. And if you don't know, on these, you always got to make sure that this prong and this prong is lined back up for you. Put her back together, because if it don't, things aren't going to end up well for you. All right. So I actually lied to you. I read it wrong. It's not 08. It's 2013. If you can see this. Boy, this is asking a lot for this thing. There's a little dial here, a little circle with the dial in it, and little arrows pointed at 13. That makes 2013. So it's 10, 14, 13, I guess, is a date on it. But yes, somebody's done it. Let's pop this other one. We have to check everything, every aspect, everything. And a lot of times on these cars, if you do that, when you put it back together, you don't have problems. Get off of there. This one is also 2013. Let's take a little look-see. A lot of times it'll wear one side, not the other side. So let's just make sure we're all on the same page. All right. Get off of there. Let's see. Actually, it looks really, really good. So that means this thing probably doesn't have a lot of miles on it since they got done. Interesting. Okay, so there's a little problem here, boys. I was just kind of taking the water line off the back of the engine. These 2 little vent valves, I thought, well, I don't want to, for the PCV, I don't want to break these. But look at this. This one's all smashed flat. So the engine can't breathe. That's not good. That's not good. So there is that. So we need a new hose. There's like this kind of stuff, you can't really not buy it. Like, yeah, you could cut that off, put a rubber hose. But if a rubber hose takes a dump on the back of your engine, you can't really get to this with the engine in the car too easily. And it's like, why? You know, why would you take that chance? So we'll add that to the list. I think what we're gonna do here, we're gonna leave, is it gonna be easier to leave the throttle bodies on the head? Probably. And so next we're gonna zip the valve cover off. We're going to come up here, I guess, and undo the timing chain. Once the timing's undone, then we can essentially basically undo the head bolts and lift the heads off. All right, make sure we're recording. You know how that rolls. Let me tell you a story about a guy named Nathan. We went to Harbor Freight today. Didn't buy any extra magnetic bolt bends. That was me, by the way. Well, she came off there. She came off there, huh? Okay. It's like some stories of the 10W60, huh? I figure out where I'm going to put this. Upside down the floor for right now. Keep that out of harm's way. We did drain the oil in this car before we took it out. That was not 10W60 that was in it, boys. One of the spark plug things came out with that. That's fine. There's all the timing gears. I don't see anything wrong with any of that. That was my exterior. Was there any shrapnel went through it? Judging by the filter, by everything, no, there was not. So let's go ahead and unplug these Vanos solenoids up here, right here. Let's go and pull the Vanos unit off the front, and we'll see what we get. So over here it's a 17 mil on the passenger side. Okay, well, we're gonna have to do one other thing here before we go any further. Let's pop the cap on our tensioner. Let's, first of all, let's do that. How about that? Let's take this belt off because I can see these hard pipes are gonna restrict us from getting this off. So there's be 2 10 mils behind here. We gotta take the belt and this pulley. Before we take the pulley off, before we take the belt off, let's go ahead and break these loose. All right. Let's pop this. Has such a short throw on that tensioner too. It makes it difficult in the car when you're trying to replace the old belts. All right, well, let's let her dangle like that. That's about to fall out. Probably look at the water pump on this thing. Well, we gotta take this other one off. I was reading a forum today, back in 2020, and some little shitbag was on there, cussing me off, telling me I'm so negative about BMW, I don't love the brand. Well, buddy, I know a few things about these, and on some of this stuff, if you make it all sound good and pretty, somebody's going to try to buy one of these and actually use it, and it's going to essentially bankrupt them. So I try to be as truthful as I can about them. Same way with MRE stuff. Everybody gets pissed off at me for not saying, oh, this is the best MRE ever. Well, it's just not. I mean, should you let me lie about it? What I don't want to do is bend this. The thing is so stuck on there. There we go. It's not like I broke it, but I did not. And let's go ahead and thread these back in the water pump. Here's another thing about this engine. Other than these banjo fittings for the oil and the little brackets for the exhaust manifold, everything is like 10 mil. Oh, and the bolts on the exhaust manifold are 12. There's one over here. Keep thinking I see a mouse out of the corner of my eye because there was a mouse in here a while back, 2 days ago actually. Okay. That's in the wiring harness. That's going to dangle there for a minute. Yeah. All right. So like before, we were trying to shuffle this off of here. I just stopped. The most important thing, we're doing anything with the engine, never do anything that's gonna break anything. So we went and looked it up. We gotta take out these bolts and these bolts, and that'll allow us to remove the Vanos. So it don't take very long here. Actually, this one could stay in. So see where it's divoted? If the video was right as watched, this one could stay in. And it's only essentially every other one that needs to come out of this one. And that'll separate the plate, which we still gotta loosen those up no matter what. That one. And this one. I'm gonna put those in a little pile over here. And then we're just gonna keep going over. And not that one. It's not difficult. This inch is not difficult. Like I said, it's just particular, we'll say. Try not to smack Philip with the camera. Smack the camera here with the ratchet. Okay, so I think, is that it? No. This one. Almost missed her. All right. The Vanos is off. Let me get this last screw over here. Second to barf oil out. Only minorly. Okay, let's put this up here. We're just kind of setting everything on our trash. Okay. Okay, so we just loosened the bolts. These are standard thread, not reverse. And we don't have the timing tool to take it apart. I was afraid it was gonna break something. So like on the rest of the cars, you use the impact and take it off. That's what we did on this, took it right off. No issue at all. It did vibrate a little C-clip loose. And then we might have to take the other side off to get the actual gear off. Let me see if that's the case or not. Just gingerly pushing out on it. Like I said, never to do anything that's going to damage any kind of surface or anything at all. We did look up a lot of videos on it, but everybody kind of skipped this step. Almost off. Okay, so there's the exhaust side off. We're gonna set that on our table over here. And kind of stack it all together. Put everything all in there like so. And then the next gear, maybe we could slip that off. The chain tensioner is out, but let's see here. Now in the timing kit, it'll come with the jig, everything to do this, to set all this up. It's using such a small amount of, I'm more just wiggling it, to be honest with you. And we're just gonna back this out real slow and it should pop off. go. It was actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Slip this off. Then we're going to put this over here onto our table. Kind of keep those both together. So, oh my bad, there's actually a second tensioner on this one. Let's go ahead and pop that loose. That probably would have helped a little bit. I mean, there wasn't much tension at all on it. Since we did have the one out, I guess, is half the struggle. The only thing that sucks about this is they put the head bolts in under the camshafts. And that's pretty common BMW practice. It's just unfortunate because, you know, why? But I can understand, you know, on these heads, they're not real super wide heads. You can see they're only this wide. Think how much smaller this is than like a M54 head, which is like huge. And that could be the case. But yeah, they're all directly in line with that. So what we're gonna do, we have our clean tray on the floor. We're gonna start off with disassembling all these rod cap bolts. And we're gonna lay it out as we're taking it apart. Since the heads hopefully don't have to go to the machine shop, once the head's off of the engine, we're just gonna reassemble it all finger tight back on the head so we don't lose anything. And we'll cover our head with a blanket on our table, and that should be it. But I think everything else, we've got one 10mm bolt here we gotta take off to free the head. Everything else should be good. We should be able to lift it right off. Okay, so this cylinder is kind of down, but since the chain's off, there's kind of nothing is really down. And we're just gonna start by loosening a little bit. Okay, so let's disassemble here, keeping all the caps lined up. All we're gonna do is put them right back together. Happy to see that all the cams look really good. All right, last cap. And then we're essentially gonna go in here and pick this mess up out of here like so. I'm gonna set this right here, just long enough to get everything out. All the lifters look good. Seems to be no problem at all. Little hydraulic lifter. These have a little peg on them that lines up so they can't turn. Kind of a cool setup. Let's see if I get it back in there. Definitely a high RPM setup. Okay, so we just took the 3 bolts out of the thermostat housing, or lift that up off of there. I'll set that here on our table. We have our E-Torx. What number is this? This is number 12. So if you guys have a lot of engines apart, you know you cannot use the impact to break the head bolts loose. They're too squishy. You gotta do it with this, and then we can take them out with the impact after that. Was not very tight at all. That was not tight enough. What's happened? I don't think anybody's been in here. That's maybe 20 foot-pounds. They should end up around 50, 55, 60. These are torqued to yield. Now I'm worried. Now I'm worried somebody's had this all apart and attempted to rebuild it. They're all They're all even though, you know what I mean? It wasn't like one was tight and one wasn't. And I'm gonna have to grab a magnet. What we don't want to do is let our washers fall down and risk losing one. So right here is that. Oh, greasy. Are some very small head bolts. We got to take that out too. That's also a like number 5 or number 6 Allen. When you're doing BMWs, most of them have a little Allen bolt in the front or two. Where the hell did that go? What the hell? Like fall down in somewhere? It's the washer. All right, so be warned that washer did fall down in there. So let's try not to, again, we have to get that out before this engine goes back together, because if we don't, that will blow the engine. Okay, that's all of those. Let's grab our little unpack. Let's pull this. Actually, there's 2 bolts in there. All right, put this to the table. We're gonna take the very last one out right here. Pull this out with a magnet. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull whenever we did the 996 Porsche, it actually had this exact same setup. Let's pull this out of here. Like so, we're gonna put this with our little 2 little front head bolts. We're probably gonna put those back in once the head's off and we reassemble our cams and everything. So let's lift this off of here, and we have to get that washer out of there. Okay, so I was trying to leave as much together as we could, but these cold start valves are not gonna let us, they're not having that crap. So let's go ahead and pull them. Okay, we'll put this bad boy over here on our table out of harm's way. Now these actually can go bad too. I was reading about it. We'll probably check those. Let's pull this out of any fear of damaging that. And then, so I did put one of the head bolts back in. Let's go ahead and pull it out. Okay, take the last head bolts out. I'll pick this bad boy up. Over to that. Here's our pistons. So that's not normal. See how that one's clean on bottom and on top. Why is it clean? Well, is that one that's knocking? Is that even one we even took off? We don't know. Now that one's kind of clean too, though. So these are dome top, like a dome piston. Got a little garbage on them. Everything looks fine. Let me hop over here and get our breaker bar. See if we can turn this over a little bit. I don't know if we can too much yet or not. And let's see, make sure everything looks good. Looks totally fine. I don't see any problems at all with it. Let me flip this. The stroke on this thing is so short. So the only numbers on this thing are EK06030. And it's a metal head gasket. Is that factory? I mean, who knows? We could definitely look it up. Just kind of looking over here at the head. Just gonna wipe it off a little bit. We'll probably are to send these to the machine shop because they're kind of nasty and get them resurfaced. So everything actually looks really good. What we're gonna do, we're going to reinstall the spark plugs, and I'll show you a trick how to see if they're leaking or not. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right. So all we did here was put the plugs back in. We're gonna spray the old brake parts cleaner in here and see if it holds liquid. I'll fill up, get the camera back a little bit on that one. Will it hold liquid? That's the whole question. That one does. Look how easy that goo's coming off of there. Stuff stanky in it. It's the first engine I ever had a part that you could take this stuff, everything's pretty much perfect, and it sprays the carbon just like right off of it. Like there's no, usually a combustion chamber, it takes quite a bit to do that. Not this one. So I think what we're gonna do, since these heads are kind of nasty, I think we might send it to the machine shop. But then if we do that, should we send the block out to the machine shop? I don't want to get too much tied up at the machine shop. Should we get this resurfaced or should we just clean it? I mean, that's the bottom line of it. And that little goo, little buildup. Little sludge. It is a very nice block. Like everything's flat, high quality aluminum. But I was saying a while ago, it's so funny to look at these pistons. The whole stroke in this thing's like that long. Like that's it. Small piston, small stroke. That's how you get the V10 with the 5 liter, only being a 5 liter, and you can turn that high of RPMs. It kind of makes sense now. You see, have it apart and see everything. But yeah, well, let's get this other head off and hopefully everything's good. Okay, so we're ready to take the passenger side head off. Now, a lot of you are saying, oh, the lifters fell, the other one, they're all mixed up. They're hydraulic, it doesn't matter. Same part number for the intake and exhaust. Makes no freaking difference whatsoever. Our camshafts are laid out. We'll fill up that so it doesn't trip over those. That might be a problem. Those get jumbled up. All we did on this other one is just reassemble it. We turned it on the side so we have more room over there. We're gonna lay this one down just like that one and take a look-see at it. You ready? Okay. So on this one, now this one is a little bit different. If I tilt this up, the lifter's gonna fall out, no doubt. This one's got a little bit of white, maybe a little bit of lean on the exhaust side. Could be fuel issue, I mean, but it's not bad. It's like well within normal, I would say. Take a look at our engine block. Everything looks good over here. Look at the goo. I guess that's a common spot for sludge to build up. We'll chisel all that crap off. Look at the valley, how much acorns of crap there is in the valley. And yeah, shouldn't be a big deal. All right, well, let's flip it upside down and we'll remove the crankshaft. All right, so we got her blocked off here. This is our Vanos line, of course, and we're gonna see if this is gonna leak out of here. No, not at all. So that brings us two questions. Somebody's had to replace this. These don't last that long and not have that issue. The other thing is, why did it have Vanos codes for all banks all the time? The pump isn't bad. The pump doesn't have any wear on it. So what's going on? Does somebody have the timing apart? Reassemble something wrong? We're pretty sure at this point somebody's had this engine apart. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is we're going to take all the rods and pistons out before we take the case half and half. I think it's gonna be a little more stable that way. And we'll take our rubber hammer. We're going to push out each rod and piston all together. Make sure I got everything here. Make sure the camera's running, because that would be a situation. So before we even do this, let's make life easier on ourselves here. These rod caps cannot be flipped around pretty much, but to make it easier on ourselves, we're gonna take our magic marker and we're just gonna give her a little bit of, look for the seams right there. That action. Make sure the piston's not gonna fall out. That rod bearing looks normal. A little bit of wear on it. Let's go ahead and push this piston all the way out. The bottom of it looks pretty good too. There was definitely some uneven wear, but nothing bad. I think for right now, we're gonna set those, ew. Little greasy. Little greasy. Let me see here. Over, I probably should mark these two. Let me dump all this oil out. But I'm gonna show you something here. Look at the side of my head, right? Look how shallow these pistons are. I mean, there's not much, it's like a full out race piston, right? You can see the dome on the top of them. Little dome top action going. All the rings look really good. We're gonna replace them, but they look really good. Just for grins here, we'll go in here and mark this number 1. While you're saying, oh, you're using the impact, take the rod bolts off. Yeah, that one looks good. We did not mark this one. It's gonna make sure this is reassemble it correctly. That one's getting pretty wore. Whoa, baby. pretty wore, but still did not spin the rod. So that's totally fine. Reassemble this. Stuck to the rod and pull it out. This one might be spun. No, but it was getting ready to. Look at that. Nasty. So what's this engine built like? This is like full race LS engine. That's how this one's built from the factory. Except just totally different as far as stroke, anything like that goes. Here you go, all the way down to copper. Okay, so that's at 93,000 miles, right? And this is one that was spun. I just don't know if it messes up or not. Machine shop's gonna tell us right away. I'm gonna leave this, well, we're gonna do here. You can see the crank does have some damage or some buildup. I don't know. So let's do this. So we're gonna get these mixed up. Wipe that out. We're gonna put the top on it and we're gonna write on it number 4 with the S so we know it's spun. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This one we already had a part. I think the rest already had a part. This one's got a bolt we left out. It doesn't matter, I have only bolts for it anyway. I knew it was out before I put the oil pan on, so I just left it. And this is another one that was spun. Number 6. Number 6 is spun. See? Now, the other car I was looking at, I decided not to buy. It was an 07, so LCI E60 M5, and it was black on black. But City Kid that had it usually is not a good, usually that's the first red flag. The second red flag is the kid that had it, right? Pretty young, means he ran the hell of it. The third red flag is whenever I emailed him, like all the BMW guys when I try to buy a car, they all know me. This guy had no idea who I was, this kid. He's probably 18, 19. The other red flag is I called my friend in the city, asked him if he knew this car. And he said, yes, I know of the car. It's a very young kid that has it, which I could tell that by the Facebook page. And he's didn't want to write back and all this crap. And it's like, you know what? This is going to be a problem. Yeah, there you have her. I just feel like if I bought that car, he wanted $8 grand for it. If I bought that, we'd be doing this again. It's not really what I wanted to do. Again, so soon. I was wanting one I could just do rod bearings on the maintenance and sell it, to be honest with you. And I just don't think it's going to be it. So this is number 6. Seven eight is not spun. I'll push this guy out the bottom. Okay. You can see there, severely worn, not spun. But anyhow, like I was saying, the other car had 143,000 miles on it, which to be honest is a little bit high. And there was no the hell? There was no record for any kind of work on the rod bearings at 140,000 miles. And finally I just said, well, I don't care to even mess with that, to be totally honest with you. So I guarantee you'd have this problem. Or worse, right? There we go. Number 8 is not spun. That's the best looking one so far. But it's going to quickly get to the point to where, guys, if you want to buy one of these cars, you're going to have to be willing to do this if you want to get it for a good price. And you already see all these guys wanting 30 grand for these cars. Will they go to 30 grand? Can you get that for everyone? Eventually, probably. But look how worn that is on the top, though. And realistically, though, if you're willing to do this rebuild, which isn't that big of a deal, you know, you could actually do this. Whoop. This is 8. Number 9. Number 9, the bearing stayed on the crank. Number 9 is very eaten up, but not spun. You can see a little bit of heat that got in the back side of it. And that's where our copper flecks come from on this one. That was probably getting ready to spin, but it didn't spin. In our case, that's some really good ass news because we know it didn't run that rod on that side. Did I say number 8? This is number 9. Maybe I said number 9. I don't remember. Yep, that's the copper fleck you saw in the oil filter right there. Now, I want to show you something. It looks a little weird in there. It looks like a hex pattern. So I wonder if we should send this one off. Or if you just send them all to the machine shop, to be totally honest with you. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea. I was only going to send the spun ones, but we don't know the situation in this engine. And we don't want to find out the hard way, if you know what I mean. Number 9. But why did it have Vanos codes for all 4? I can tell you when we drained the oil on this car, it looked like water. This one is spun. Spun, it looks very odd. Maybe just all the copper's gone. Maybe it's been freaking sanded and put back together. Okay, so let me move the tripod here. Let's get in here. Let's get you guys right on top of it and I'm gonna show you. So, what we have running here. Spin it over. This is what we call a good journal, right? Not spun, not scratched. That one's good. That one, not so much. That one, not so much. That one, not so much. These two are good. That one, not so much. And that one, not so much. Are they all chewed up? No, they are not actually all chewed up. Was this engine caught in time? That's debatable. I think what we're looking at worst case here, we're looking at several new rods. We also need, at the best case, everything gets polished. We don't have to buy nothing new. A medium case, we have to have the crank turned, buy a few new rods, and then buy another set of bearings that are a size bigger to make everything work out with this. The worst case, a new crankshaft and all new rods. Let's hope it's not the worst case, because that's a lot of money, boys. A lot of money. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to cut this video here. Philip's not here to help me do this. He needs to be here to help me do it. But this video needs to be uploaded. It's like way past due. It's been going on for almost a week. So you guys got to do without seeing me take 10 more bolts out or 15 more bolts out. And we'll cut it there. So stay tuned. This thing will run again. I promise you it will run again and run better than ever before. This will, end result, make somebody a very nice car. And I need to start sourcing parts. We need those PCV valves. We need a whole arrangement of stuff here. I just won't know the total. We'll get a total cost for you guys in the very end on parts, how much it actually truly costs to do one of these engines like this. And that's it. If you guys have another one of these cars that needs maintenance or has clutch problems and you want to sell it for a decent price maybe for 6 to 8 grand, depends on the miles, depends on the color, depends on what kind of problems it has. Let me know in the comments down below. Email will be in the description. That's it. Thanks for watching.